My name's TJ Coder. I'm from Pennsylvania, and I came to Envita to be treated for Lyme disease. Prior to I got diagnosed, it was quite some time ago at this point. Busy family life, the cliche of, running to one event to the next. My kids were both in lacrosse, also in band. My wife was going back to school, in graduate school, to be a biologist. I was heavy into endurance sports, so did a lot of training. I'd train for hours, running, biking, swimming. It was pretty confusing when I started having these things happen. Aches and pains. I started having a lot of vision issues, central nervous system problems. I had to altogether quit reading, so I could not read much more than a couple sentences. So if somebody sent me an email or something that ended up being like a paragraph or so long, I had a lot of trouble. My professional background is I'm an engineer. I was having a lot of trouble doing like real basic math. And then for the longest time, I just chalked it up to getting, I'm just getting old. A couple years ago, there was a point where I was at work and I could not stand up to get out of my car. So my boss had to call the ambulance to come check on me. Right at that moment, I knew something was seriously wrong, and it was more than just old age, aches and pains. And then that started my couple year-long journey of going to specialists, just getting passed from one to the other. My initial family doctor diagnosed me with a psychological problem, so suggested that I go see a psychologist. Ended up seeing a neurologist, cardiologist, ear, nose, and throat. Unfortunately, the specialists were zero help. Frankly, it didn't seem like they had the time to even talk to me. Sometimes they'd have like 15 minutes to barely look at your test results and say there's nothing wrong with you. My rheumatologist diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. So you had the combination of what my family doctor was telling me and my rheumatologist. So I had some kind of, my diagnosis was some kind of psychological issue that was resulting in like psychosomatic symptoms that resulted in fibromyalgia or something like that. Fortunately, I had a lot of good people in my corner. My wife, for example, ironically, actually does tick collection studies for Pennsylvania. So she actually studies vector-borne illness. Between her and I, we just didn't let it go and just kept after it, kept trying to find good doctors. We ended up finding a doctor that was Lyme competent in the area and kind of got me started. I'd been on doxycycline on and off a couple different times, and I just just could not get better. My current doctor had suggested that I seek out a specialty clinic. I literally Googled best Lyme clinic in the world, and Envita popped up. I ended up going with Envita simply because when I talked to them, I didn't feel like anything was being kept from me. The first person I talked to was Jessica, who ended up being my patient care coordinator. So you can tell when somebody's just giving you straight answers. I had lots of questions about things like treatment options, time, and costs. She just was upfront and just gave me the information to include the duration and the likely scenario, the likely costs, and I can tell you at the end of my treatment now that she was pretty close. And I was extremely skeptical of, I didn't want to go to a clinic where they're just, banging a gong and waving incense over you or something like that. Doing stuff that's not backed by science. So it was important to me that I found out what was going on and how it related to the science of treating the disease. Jessica provided all that information with a lot of the upfront materials. It was just a different conversation than I had with the other clinics. Just made the expectations of what to expect to come here, when you come out for your first consultation and all that, that was just very clear from the start. The IRAD treatment itself was hugely beneficial. I would say within a week and a half. I was on a weekend and I had a Scottsdale free paper delivered. I haven't really read anything for years at this point, so it's just too difficult for me to get through it. So within a week and a half on that weekend, I had actually read through the whole paper, which was pretty big deal for me. To be that impaired and then within a couple weeks time already to be able to do that, and then some further improvements happened. That was pretty amazing.